I discovered the cameras on a Sunday morning while trimming hedges along the fence line between our properties. My neighbour, Mr. Harrison, had moved in 6 months ago. He was a quiet man in his 50s, kept to himself mostly. We'd exchanged polite waves but never had real conversations. I figured he valued his privacy, which was fine by me. But that Sunday, as I worked near the fence, I noticed something odd mounted on the corner of his house. A small black camera angled directly at my backyard. I looked up and saw another one, then another, at least 4 cameras, all pointed at my property. I felt a chill despite the warm morning sun. Why would my neighbour need cameras watching my house? I mentioned it to my wife, Emma, over lunch. "That's weird," she said, but she didn't seem overly concerned. "Maybe they're security cameras for his own house." "They're pointed at our house, Emma, at our windows, our yard. Did you ask him about it?" I hadn't. The thought of confronting Mr. Harrison made me uncomfortable, but the cameras bothered me. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those black lenses watching us, recording us. But recording what? The next day I did something I'm not proud of. I waited until Mr. Harrison left for work, then I went to his door. It was unlocked, common in our quiet neighborhood. I told myself I'd just peek inside, just check if there was an innocent explanation. What I found was a room full of monitors, dozens of screens showing different angles of my house, my backyard, my living room windows, my bedroom, and on one screen I saw footage from last night, video of me leaving my house at 2 a.m., getting in my car and driving away. Except I don't remember doing that. I was asleep all night. Or at least, I thought I was. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave your like because the ending of this story will shake you in ways you never imagined. And tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this story? Now let's begin. I stood in Mr. Harrison's surveillance room, my hands shaking as I watched the footage. The timestamp showed 2:13 a.m. The video clearly showed me, wearing my blue pajamas, walking to my car with purpose, like I knew exactly what I was doing. I got in, started the engine and drove away. But I had no memory of this. None. I scrolled back through more footage. There was video from every night for the past 3 weeks, and in almost every one, I left my house between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Sometimes I'd be gone for an hour, sometimes 3 hours, but always I'd return before dawn and go back inside. Where was I going? What was I doing? I heard a car door slam outside. Mr. Harrison was home early. Panic seized me. I couldn't let him find me here in his house, looking at his surveillance footage. I ran for the back door and managed to get out just as I heard his front door opening. I climbed back over the fence and into my yard, my heart pounding. I went inside and found Emma in the kitchen. "You okay?" she asked. "You look pale." "Fine," I lied. "Just tired." That night, I set an alarm for 1:45 a.m. I was going to stay awake and see if I really did leave the house. See if the footage was real or somehow faked. But when my alarm went off, I couldn't move. My body felt heavy, paralyzed. I could see my bedroom ceiling, could hear Emma breathing beside me, but I couldn't lift my arms or turn my head. And then I felt myself standing up. Except I wasn't standing up. My body was, but I wasn't controlling it. I watched from inside my own head as my legs walked me out of the bedroom, down the stairs, and out the front door. I was a passenger in my own body. I came back to awareness in my car. I was sitting in the driver's seat in an empty parking lot I didn't recognize. The dashboard clock showed 4:47 a.m. I'd lost nearly 3 hours. My hands were dirty. There was mud under my fingernails. My shoes were wet with dew. I'd been somewhere, done something, but I had no memory of it. I drove home in a daze, crept back into bed next to Emma, who was still sleeping peacefully. When my alarm went off at 7 a.m. for work, I woke up exhausted, like I hadn't slept at all. At breakfast, Emma noticed the dirt under my nails. "Were you gardening last night?" "No," I said. "I don't know where that came from." She gave me an odd look, but didn't press it. At work, I couldn't concentrate. I kept thinking about the surveillance footage, about the lost time, about my body moving without my control. Was I sleepwalking? But sleepwalkers don't drive cars. Don't leave for hours at a time. During lunch I Googled my symptoms. Lost time, missing memories, automatic behavior. The results were disturbing. Dissociative fugue states, temporal lobe epilepsy, or worse, something called parasomnia overlap disorder. But none of those explained why Mr. Harrison was recording it all. That evening I decided to confront him. I walked next door and knocked. Mr. Harrison answered, looking surprised to see me. "I know about the cameras," I said. "I know you've been recording me." His expression didn't change. "You should come inside, we need to talk." Mr. Harrison's living room was sparse. Just a couch, a coffee table, and a door leading to what I assumed was the surveillance room. He gestured for me to sit. "How long have you known?" he asked. "About the cameras. Since yesterday. About the footage." I swallowed hard. I saw myself leaving at night, but I don't remember doing it. Mr. Harrison nodded slowly. "That's because you're not conscious when it happens. Something else is controlling you." "What are you talking about?" He pulled out a tablet and showed me video. Me in my backyard at 2 a.m. digging. Just digging a hole for no apparent reason, then filling it back in. Another video. Me standing in my driveway perfectly still for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Another. Me walking around my house's perimeter exactly 7 times, then going back inside. "This has been happening every night for 3 months, Mr. Harrison said. I installed the cameras because I needed proof. Because no one would believe me without it." "Proof of what?" "That something is using you, controlling you while you sleep. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find out." I felt sick. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because people who are told they're being controlled usually disappear. I've seen it happen before. You're not the first." "Not the first?" My voice was barely a whisper. "This has happened to other people?" Mr. Harrison pulled up more files on his tablet. Different names, different addresses, different years. But the same pattern. People moving in their sleep, doing strange ritualistic behaviors, then eventually vanishing completely. "I'm not your neighbor," he said finally. "I'm an investigator, and I'm here to save your life." Mr. Harrison, though that wasn't his real name, had been tracking this phenomenon for 7 years. His daughter had been one of the victims. She'd started sleepwalking, doing strange things at night, and then one night she left and never came back. The police found her car at the edge of the forest preserve, he told me, but no sign of her. It's like she walked into the woods and ceased to exist. What do you think happened to her? I think whatever is controlling these people eventually calls them, and when they go, they don't come back. He showed me his research. Dozens of cases across the country, all with the same pattern. It always started with minor sleepwalking, then escalated to more complex behaviors, and finally the person would leave one night and disappear. "Why me?" I asked. "What makes someone a target?" "I don't know yet, but there's always a trigger location, a place where it starts. For you, I think it's your basement." I thought about our basement. We barely used it. Just storage, old boxes, holiday decorations. "What's in my basement?" "That's what we need to find out. Tonight, when you leave again, and you will leave again, I'm going to follow you, see where you go, what you do, and maybe we'll finally get some answers." I didn't want answers. I wanted this to stop. But I also knew I couldn't keep losing hours of my life, couldn't keep waking up in strange places with no memory. "What do I tell my wife?" "Nothing. If you tell her, whatever's controlling you will know, and it might escalate, speed up the timeline." "So I just lie to her?" "You lie to save her life, because if you tell her, she becomes a target too." That night I went to bed at 10 p.m. knowing what was coming. Emma kissed me goodnight, oblivious to what I'd learned. I felt guilty not telling her, but Mr. Harrison's warning echoed in my mind. At 2:17 a.m. I felt it happen, that same paralysis, that same sensation of being pushed aside in my own body. I watched helplessly as my body got out of bed, dressed in dark clothes, and walked downstairs. Through my own eyes I saw my hand open the basement door, saw my feet descend the stairs. The basement was dark, but my body moved confidently, like it knew exactly where to go. In the far corner behind old boxes, my hands started digging into the concrete floor. Except the concrete wasn't solid there. It crumbled easily, like it had been loosened before. Within minutes, my hands had cleared away concrete chunks, revealing dirt underneath. And then I started digging into the dirt with my bare hands, deeper and deeper, my fingernails breaking, my hands bleeding, but feeling no pain because I wasn't in control. After 20 minutes, my hands hit something smooth and hard. I watched as my body pulled it free from the dirt. It was a box, old wooden, covered in strange symbols I didn't recognize. My hands opened it. Inside was a mirror. Not a normal mirror. The reflection showed our basement, but wrong. The walls were covered in those same symbols, and standing in the mirror basement was a figure, tall, dark, featureless. It was watching me. Then I heard Mr. Harrison's voice. "Put it down, now." He was standing at the bottom of the basement stairs holding a camera. Whatever was controlling me didn't like that. My body turned toward him, and I felt rage that wasn't mine. My mouth opened and spoke in a voice that wasn't mine. "Observer, you should not be here." "Release him," Mr. Harrison said firmly, still recording. "I know what you are. I know how you work." My body laughed with that alien voice. "You know nothing, observer. This vessel is mine. Has been mine since he opened the door." "What door?" Mr. Harrison kept his camera steady. "The door in the mirror. 3 months ago. He looked, he invited. Now he belongs to me." I tried to remember 3 months ago. Had I seen something in a mirror? Opened something, but I couldn't remember. "You're using him to retrieve objects," Mr. Harrison said. "Objects buried in houses. Why?" "Not your concern. Your daughter learned too much. She asked too many questions, like you." Mr. Harrison's hand shook. "Where is she? What did you do to Rachel?" "She serves now, in the between place, where all vessels go when their purpose is fulfilled." My mouth smiled. "This one will join her soon. Perhaps you too." Mr. Harrison pulled something from his pocket, a small iron rod covered in symbols. The moment he held it up, pain exploded through my body. The entity's presence weakened, and for a moment, I felt control returning. "Iron binds you," Mr. Harrison said. "Blessed iron breaks your hold. I learned that much from Rachel's research." He stepped closer, holding the iron rod out. My body tried to move away, but I fought it, pushed back against the entity's control. With tremendous effort, I managed to drop the mirror box. It hit the ground and the glass cracked. The entity screamed through my mouth, a sound no human throat should make. Then everything went black. I woke up on the basement floor, Mr. Harrison kneeling beside me. "Welcome back," he said. "But we have a problem. Breaking its hold temporarily doesn't free you. We need to close the door you opened, and to do that, we need to find where all the mirrors connect." We went back to Mr. Harrison's surveillance room. He pulled up his research files, showing me patterns he'd discovered. The mirrors are placed in houses across the country, always buried in basements, always hidden behind concrete or floorboards. Someone or something planted them decades ago, maybe centuries. They're doorways. Doorways to where? I don't know. But whatever's on the other side uses people to retrieve them, to activate them. Each mirror is part of a network. When enough of them are activated, something happens. Something big. He showed me a map. Red dots marked houses where people had disappeared. There were hundreds of them, forming a pattern across the United States. And at the center of the pattern was our town. "You're at the convergence point," Mr. Harrison said. "That's why the entity chose you, your house specifically. It needed someone here to complete the pattern." "How do we stop it?" "We destroy the mirror, but not just yours, all of them, or at least enough to break the pattern." He pulled up another screen. "I've been tracking other victims. 13 are still alive, still under control, but not yet taken. If we can get to them, save them before they complete their purpose." "That's impossible. We can't save 13 people scattered across the country." "No, but we can warn them." He showed me a list of names and addresses. "Every one of these people is being watched by investigators like me, people who've lost someone to this thing. We're a network too, and if we coordinate, if we all act on the same night, we might be able to break the pattern." I looked at the list. Ordinary names, ordinary people, all being used as puppets. What happens to me? I asked. Even if we break the pattern, the entity is still in my head. I know, Mr. Harrison said quietly. That's the part I haven't figured out yet. Mr. Harrison contacted his network. 13 investigators, 13 victims, 13 mirrors to be destroyed simultaneously. They set the date. 3 days from now at exactly 2 a.m., the hour when the entity's control was strongest. We do it when they're vulnerable, Mr. Harrison explained. When they're active. The iron disrupts them long enough to destroy the mirrors. But there was a problem. I need to tell Emma, I said. I can't keep lying to her. And if something goes wrong, if I don't make it, if you tell her, the entity will know. It can hear through you. Then we wait until the last minute, 1 hour before. You tell her while I'm locked somewhere, the entity can't hurt her. We prepared. Mr. Harrison gathered more iron rods. Blessed by a priest he knew who understood this wasn't ordinary evil. He set up a room in his basement with iron bars, a place where he could contain me if the entity tried to escape. The night before the operation, I tried to spend normal time with Emma. We watched a movie, ate popcorn, pretended everything was fine. She knew something was wrong. I could see it in her eyes, but she didn't push. At 11 p.m., I kissed her goodnight. I love you, I said. I love you too. Whatever's bothering you, we'll figure it out together, okay? I nodded, even though I knew she couldn't help with this. No one could. At 1 a.m., I went to Mr. Harrison's house. He locked me in the iron-barred room. If this works, you'll be free. If it doesn't, destroy the mirror anyway. Don't let the pattern complete. He nodded and went upstairs to get Emma. I waited in the iron room, feeling the entity stirring inside me. It knew something was wrong. It was getting agitated. At 1:45 a.m. I heard voices upstairs, Emma and Mr. Harrison. Then Emma's scream, "What do you mean he's been controlled? Where is he?" She ran downstairs and saw me behind the iron bars. "Oh my God, what's happening?" "I'm sorry," I said. "I wanted to tell you, but—" I never finished the sentence. At exactly 2 a.m., the entity seized full control. My body slammed against the iron bars, trying to break free. The entity screamed through my throat, "You cannot stop this. The pattern will complete, with or without this vessel." "Now!" Mr. Harrison shouted into his phone. Across the country, 13 investigators smashed 13 mirrors. I felt each one shatter like a blow to my mind. The entity's presence weakened with each destruction, its control fracturing. But it wasn't enough. The network was breaking, but the entity was still holding on, still anchored in my mind through the mirror in my basement. "The mirror!" I managed to gasp between the entity's screams. "Destroy it now!" Emma ran. I heard her footsteps pounding up the stairs, heard her crash through our house to the basement. Mr. Harrison ran after her with the iron rod. Through the entity's fading control, I felt Emma in the basement, felt her lift the cracked mirror, and I felt the entity's pure rage as she smashed it against the concrete floor. The mirror exploded into 1,000 pieces, and the entity's presence shattered with it. I collapsed against the iron bars, suddenly myself again, fully myself. The passenger was gone. I was alone in my own head. Emma came running back. "Is it gone? Is he okay?" "Check his eyes," Mr. Harrison said. She looked at me carefully. I looked back, fully present, fully conscious. "It's me," I said. "Just me." Emma burst into tears and reached through the bars to hold me. Mr. Harrison unlocked the door, and I stepped out, my legs shaking. "The others?" I asked. Mr. Harrison checked his phone. Messages were coming in from the network. 11 successful. 2. He paused. 2 people were taken before we could save them. They walked away during the attempt and vanished. 11 saved. 2 lost. And somewhere those 2 people were in the between place with Mr. Harrison's daughter Rachel and all the others. "I'm sorry," I said to him. He shook his head. "We broke the pattern. That's what matters. The entity can't complete whatever it was trying to do. The remaining mirrors are inert now." But I could see the pain in his eyes. He'd saved me, saved 11 others. But his daughter was still gone. The next few weeks were difficult. Emma had nightmares about what she'd seen. I had nightmares about the time I'd lost, about the things I'd done while not in control. We went to therapy together. I told a carefully edited version of what happened. Sleepwalking, dissociative episodes, nothing about entities or mirrors or between places. The therapist gave me medication I didn't need, advice that didn't apply. But it helped Emma feel like we were doing something normal. Mr. Harrison stayed next door. He dismantled most of the surveillance equipment, but kept some cameras running. "Just in case," he said. "Just to be sure it's really over." I asked him once what he'd do now that his 7-year search had ended, now that he'd broken the pattern but still hadn't found his daughter. "There are other patterns," he said quietly. "Other disappearances, other entities. This wasn't the only one, and somewhere, in one of those other cases, maybe I'll find a way to reach the between place. Find Rachel, bring her back." "You think that's possible?" "I think a man controlled by an interdimensional entity isn't supposed to be possible either. But you were. So maybe Rachel can come back too." I hoped he was right. Emma and I stayed in the house. We had the basement sealed, filled the entire space with concrete, buried whatever other secrets might be hidden there. Sometimes, late at night, I'd wake up and feel paranoid that it wasn't over, that the entity was still there, just dormant, waiting. But then Emma would roll over and put her arm around me, and I'd remember I was in control. My body was mine. The cameras next door were still recording, and somehow that was comforting. Mr. Harrison was still watching, still protecting, and if something tried to take control again, I wouldn't be alone. Because that was the worst part, not the lost time or the controlled movements or even the fear. It was the loneliness of being trapped inside my own body, with no one knowing what was happening. But now someone knew, and that made all the difference. 6 months after the convergence, I received a package. No return address, just my name written in neat handwriting. Inside was a flash drive and a note. "You deserve to know the truth. A friend." I plugged the flash drive into my computer. It contained files, research documents, historical records, and video footage. Footage of the mirror network being created. The videos were old, filmed in the 1950s, based on the quality. They showed men in suits burying mirrors in house foundations, speaking in hushed tones about Project Threshold. It was a government program. They'd created the mirror network intentionally. One document explained the purpose. Project Threshold aims to establish anchor points for cross-dimensional travel. Subjects will be selected based on proximity to anchor points and compatibility with dimensional frequencies. Successful integration will allow access to alternate realities for military and intelligence purposes. They'd known. The government had planted these mirrors, had planned for people to be controlled, had considered it acceptable losses in the name of research. But something had gone wrong. The entities they'd contacted weren't interested in cooperation. They wanted invasion. The project was supposedly shut down in 1962, but the mirrors were left in place. No one thought to remove them. For 60 years, those mirrors had sat dormant in basements across America. Then something woke them up. Something on the other side had figured out how to activate them remotely. And they'd started using people like me as puppets to complete a pattern the original researchers never intended. I showed the files to Mr. Harrison. He sat in silence for a long time after reading them. "My daughter wasn't random," he said finally. "She was chosen because of where she lived. Where I moved us after my work with—" He stopped. "Your work with what?" "I was part of Project Threshold. I helped bury the mirrors. I thought we were doing something important, something that would change the world." His voice broke. "I killed my own daughter with my ambition." "You didn't know what would happen." "I should have. We were warned by the first test subjects. They said something was watching from the other side, something intelligent and patient. But we ignored them, called it psychological trauma, delusion, anything but the truth." He looked at me with hollow eyes. "There are still mirrors out there, hundreds of them, still buried, still waiting. And whatever is on the other side is still patient, still watching, still planning. What do? We keep watching too. We protect the people who live above the mirrors, and we pray that the pattern stays broken." I think about that often now, about all those houses built on top of mirrors, all those people sleeping above doorways to somewhere else. Most will never know what's beneath their foundations. But some will feel it, will start sleepwalking, will lose time, will become passengers in their own bodies. And when they do, Mr. Harrison's network will be there, watching, protecting, fighting against something that should never have been awakened. My neighbor had cameras pointed at my house. When I checked the footage, I saw myself doing things I didn't remember. But I wasn't doing them. Something else was. Something from the other side of the mirror. And even though my mirror is destroyed, even though I'm free, I know the truth now. There are more mirrors, more people being used, more entities waiting to cross over. The pattern we broke was just one of many, and somewhere in a basement just like mine used to be, another person is about to look in a mirror and accidentally open a door. I just hope someone is watching when they do.